On this Connect to the Capitol Extra, it has been 17 weeks in the legislative session. One day, the South Carolina House of Representatives, by a 109-0 vote, actually passed liquor liability legislation. The Senate, on the other hand, took 4+ weeks to get their version of insurance reform done. What's that meant? It's meant that over the last several years, there have been more than 5,000 restaurants and bars that have closed their doors across the state of South Carolina. How does that impact what's going on in your neighborhood? Well, joining us to have this discussion is Chris Fitz, the owner of The Hollow here in the Vista of Columbia. Chris, thanks for being here, first of all. And I really want to get a better understanding. When we start talking about liquor liability legislation, the state of South Carolina says that you have to have $1 million policy. And that has been something that years over year, you've been seeing increasing in insurance rates. What does that mean for you and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. We've had to deal with this on a daily basis, and where we have to navigate the waters is how we can do this responsibly, but then also try to stay financially afloat, And what we've watched is that as we've kept really good practices, we've seen insurance prices go ahead to continue to climb, and we're not seeing any relief to small business owners, and that's the real issue here.
So let's talk about small business. You've got a business that's a year in making here now. You've just finished your first year. You've got 30 employees that work through in your restaurant. When you think about how that looks just in the Vista of Columbia, South Carolina, you've got 2-3 dozen restaurants and bars. Mathematically, that's a huge economic impact on the jobs. What does that mean for you when you make decisions about growth and expansion?
Well, it's terrifying, to be honest. I have conversations daily with other business owners and then other restaurant workers about what their future looks like, and it's just full of uncertainty. We look forward to trying to grow and develop communities and create hubs where you can meet up and have a drink and a great bite to eat. And instead, now we're restricted because of unfair insurance restrictions that we have to fight daily, and we need help from our lawmakers to make that needle move.
So when we talk about that, you just recently renewed a policy. Of the couple of dozen insurance companies that are out there, you said you only had how many quotes?
2.
So when you look at that, you're then left with very little choice when it comes to what you can do and the way that you can keep your business afloat. But there were elements of what was in the House bill that addressed some of the issues that insurance companies have. Tell me a little bit about what you saw with that.
This is the clear path that we see going forward that helps everybody, and where the House has recognized the relief for restaurant industries is finding that fine balance between being responsible, but then also rewarding those that are being responsible. We need to see that relief come down directly, and we've seen that with this bill. We've seen where the insurance companies can still be able to provide coverage responsibly, but then we can also be able to afford to keep our doors open, and that's all we're really trying to do.
So we've got, in essence, one legislative week left. That's 3 days. What is it that you would say to lawmakers then, as an owner of a business, for one, an owner of a restaurant that has a bar in it, and what do you say to them when it comes to the need for action here?
I think the biggest thing is it's immediate. We need it right now, and I really appreciate the way that the House took this seriously and unanimously pushed it through. They knew right now we need to see some relief, and I think that's where we need to focus, is that if we take what the Senate has and we just take the restaurant liquor liability aspect of it, pass it right now, and leave the rest of the insurance reform till next year, that's a great solution for all of us to win and help all of our communities.
Let's keep something in mind. May 8th is the last day of the legislative session.
Yeah.
They will not come back until the second Tuesday of January. That is a lengthy time period right there to have no relief. What does that mean for you financially when you're looking at having to hold on to this for that long?
The hardest part about that is we hold on to what end? We're just going to pick up where we left off. And we've had so much time to go through this and debate it and then to find those fine points and get there. So why haven't we passed it? if we wait 10 more months, is it going to change? Or are we going to continue to have the same arguments and no solution for small business owners? And that's who needs the relief.
So let's talk a little bit about how in the world you got into this small business ownership. A little background about your getting into the restaurant business and what that's meant for you.
I think that's the most interesting part about the liquor liability, is that everybody thinks it's only affecting an owner that you never see in the restaurant who's 4 or 5 states away. Really what it is I started in this business when I was young, worked my way all the way through the dish pit, through the kitchen, going to the front, and then worked my way up into the bar industry and really found a home there, And it was only through 2022 when I was voted the best bartender in the city, and we recognized what it is as a community, that we had the ability to go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and do the Hollow. And that's where we are now. And we feel like we've created a hub for all of our friends in downtown Columbia, and we want to see that thrive.
So what is keeping that thriving from happening because of where things are?
I think it's just that we need to come together to see that path is achievable. We want to be able to provide the relief for the customers and for people out there that want to know that drivers are held responsible and bars are held responsible for the safety of their patrons. But we also want to feel the relief and the understanding that we need to do this financially responsibly as well.
So let's talk through a couple of last things. When you talk about the House bill, there were some specific things in there: education of your employees, plans in place that need to be done. Give us a little bit of understanding of what that did and how that kind of serves. If you're very familiar with your driving record, if you take a driver's class and you go through the different types of training, it can lower your insurance rates. It's no different.
Exactly.
With what you're talking about here.
And that's where you're seeing the extension to the insurance companies saying, hey, we'll do for you, can you do for us? And that's where we're hoping to help out. We want to be able to send our staff through training programs and continue to educate them year over year on great practices. We want to be able to control great hours so that we're not staying open way past where we need to. We're being responsible with the serving of the alcohol and things like that as well. But we want to see relief too. And where we're going to see that is with the joint and several liability, where right now, if we're 1% liable, we're 100% liable.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. We've got to be responsible with that as well.
And that's a part of the legislation. Folks at home, you may or may not fully understand this. The way that it works right now, if there is an accident, if something does happen to someone, then everybody holds 100% of the financial responsibility instead of what their portion would be. And that right there, so many people will say, well, that's not fair. But on the victim side, there's one, we want to have compensation.
Sure.
So there's a solution somewhere in the in-between.
And God forbid something happens. That's really where we look at it, is how many preventative measures can we put in place? And we take pride in that, But what it is that it doesn't matter if it was your first stop or your last stop, if there were bad actors in between. Everything that happened over the course of that evening is held accountable. So if you just came and had dinner with us and had one beer at dinner, and then something happened 4, 5, 6 hours after that, we're still held just as responsible for everything that happened after that as well. And that's just not what it is. We're trying to give you a dinner and a good meal and a good time.
And that's the place where, when we talking about this and you begin to understand as we go through, and we've had several conversations about liquor liability, why this is mattering to you in your neighborhood, with the restaurants and the bars that you go to. So as always, we want to make sure that you're up to date on these issues as we keep you connected to the Capitol.